The time is now 7 o'clock.
In South Korea, we call a long weekend a golden holiday or 황금 연휴. The reason is pretty self-explanatory, right? But are these long golden holidays really golden? And I think that really depends on who you ask. The last long holiday we had, a lot of people traveled abroad, so much so local businesses didn't see a boost in demand they had hoped for. There are some murmurs ongoing over whether the government should designate a substitute holiday for an extra long weekend in May. Question is this: who will this actually benefit? And what are your thoughts? I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Monday, March 17th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. Oh, who is number one in our YouTube chat room today? Because I have to say it has become a fierce competition. People are like ready to go. I think for today, is it Michael today? Well, if it is, congratulations. I love that fierce competition. The competitive streak is coming out on this Monday morning. Let's get started. Most of us would love to have an extra day off from work, and we always look forward to the series of, the long red days on the calendar. Don't you always when I first get my calendar, I do flip through, whether it's on your phone or an actual calendar. You flip through and you're like, ooh, how many red days are there? But the debate continues to swirl as to whether these long holidays are actually good for the domestic economy. By the way, we have no holidays for the rest of March and none for April. But come May, we have Monday, May 5th, and Tuesday, May 6th off. So with this, there are calls online for the government to designate the Friday before May 2nd as a temporary holiday. At this point, this is wishful thinking, but it does bring out issues with these long holidays. The reason that the government designates temporary holidays or 임시 공휴일 is to boost demand and have people spend money domestically. That's the whole point. But recently, the controversy has been where people are spending their money. Just during the Lunar New Year holiday, the government added an extra day, but that actually boosted demand for overseas travel, especially to Japan. According to Japan's Statistics Office, there were 979,000 South Korean arrivals to Japan in January alone. And experts say that in order for this extra holiday to actually transpire to domestic demand, this needs to come with governmental support, like travel subsidies and, those extra perks. Then there are the realistic and practical issues, things like childcare, work schedules, and of course, holiday pay. This all goes to show that a lot of thought and work is required behind getting a single day of that extra holidays. So waivers, listeners out there, where do you stand on possibly designating May 2nd as an extra holiday? Yes or no? That's not our text topic though. For me, personally, I don't like getting extra holidays because 그 보강 수업을, I always have to make those classes up. So it's like a mad dash trying to schedule all the classes. I like things as is. I'm okay with it. But, some people, you might really want that extra day off. Now it's time for our text topic. Are you ready? Here we go. We want you to flex your random trivia knowledge. So what are some totally random but interesting facts that live in your head? If nothing comes to mind, because it might be a little tough on a Monday morning, give us a random bit of TMI about yourself. So either reveal something about yourself or give us an interesting trivia fact. 자, 내가 알고 있는 랜덤한 상식 자랑하는 시간을 가져볼 건데요. 뜬금없지만 흥미로운 상식, like I bet you don't know this 이런 거 몰랐죠? 예, 혹은 내 자신 대한 TMI까지 나눠볼까요? I'm all for it. Whether you give me some random really cool facts or some really interesting personal information that you are willing to share, all fair game today. I'll go first. And I thought about this, okay? I know some random facts, but I don't know how interesting they are. And there's so many are like scientific. Okay, I'll go first, and it might be really boring, but do you know how many dimples an average golf ball has? 골프공에 보면 그렇게 조그맣게 파인 the little dimples, we call them 보조개. How many are there on an average golf ball? And the answer is 336. Don't ask me how I know, but I know. So, no, I did not count them. So, yeah, there are quite many dimples on a golf ball. So that is just one. I'll give you another one. Random trivia fact. How much of our brain consists of water? 우리 뇌가 몇 % 물일까요? And the answer, according to scientists, is anywhere between 73 and 75%. Did you know that? 우리 뇌의 4분의 3이 물이래요. So the next time you are having like a brain fart, fog in your head, you can blame the water. There's too much water in your head. All right, so things like that. Send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So go to the YouTube platform and type in BEFM 부산영어방송 to check out our live stream. And we have very lively conversations in this chat room as well. You can send in your messages through your phone. Pound 9050 샵 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me through Kakao Talk for free. Good news there. Search for BFM 부산영어방송 as well to add us as a friend, and you can send in your messages and your photos too. You can listen to our program in so many different ways nowadays on the radio if you're in Busan, 90.5 or 103.3 FM, depending on where you are. Like I said, we are streaming live as we speak right now. You can also watch again at your leisure. And we have two apps available for you. First up, we have our own BEFM app. Also available on the Patbang app, we have the 와글와글 segment. It's Monday, so who's in the lineup? We have Michael with Showbiz Buzz, Bobby in hour number 2 for Business Perspectives. For our special interview today, we're going to be talking about something that we thought wasn't really a problem, but it apparently is these days. The measles. That's right, 홍역. So why is this an issue? Especially in the United States, there is a serious measles outbreak. And even here in Korea, we have seen a handful of measles cases pop up too. 16 infections this year as of March 6th. So let's find out what the deal is with measles. That's coming up in our special interview in hour number 2. And I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:08. These are today's headlines. PPP will accept Constitutional Court's ruling on Yoon's impeachment. The ruling People Power Party, or PPP's floor leader, Kwon Sung-dong, said that he will accept whatever decision the Constitutional Court makes on President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment trial. MBK chief vows to use personal assets for HomePlus suppliers. Head of the private equity firm MBK Partners, Kim Byung-ju, said he will use his personal assets to support suppliers of HomePlus who have been affected by the court-led rehabilitation process. Number of economically inactive young people rises further in 2025. The number of young South Koreans who were jobless or opted to remain economically inactive surpassed 1.2 million last month amid tough job market conditions. South Korea not on U.S. Defense Secretary's trip to Indo-Pacific. South Korea is not included in U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's upcoming trip to the Indo-Pacific as the country is in a period of political uncertainty over the fallout from President Yoon Suk-yeol's martial law declaration. Tornadoes and dust storms leave at least 34 dead in U.S. At least 34 people have died in the U.S. after violent tornadoes tore through several southeastern states, causing massive dust storms. And these are today's headlines. It's time for Busan Updates. We have Sue in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, so text topic. It's kind of a tough one today. It does require us to use our brain cells. So what do you have for us? Hit us with either random trivia or something like a little personal TMI, something interesting.
I'm not going to go for the personal. Maybe it's a little personal. First of all,
Yes.
Catherine, do you like bitter foods?
Bitter foods. I
Like-
do.
Dark chocolate,
Yeah.
arugula?
Yeah, I love arugula. Right.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Because I recently downloaded a Psychology Facts app. People who tend to like bitter foods
Oh, no.
tend to be more narcissistic.
Oh, I am so narcissistic. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm on radio. I have to be.
Okay.
Oh,
And
okay.
people who don't like bitter foods
Yes.
tend to be more agreeable.
Agreeable. So which side do you fall into?
I think I'm in the middle because I love...
Sorry, did everybody catch that eye roll on the radio in case you're not on our YouTube channel? So you're in the middle. So that means you're just perfect, are you?
I like to think so.
Yes. Well, very interesting. Anything else?
No, that's it.
That's it?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. The first item is this for Busan Updates. The Dadepo offshore wind power project is moving forward with a fast-tracked approval process. So tell us about this.
The project recently passed the Maritime Safety Assessment in January. The UK-based company Korea Generation, which is in charge of the development of the wind farm,
Okay.
plans to start building in May 2026, aiming for commercial operation by late 2028. And the project has already passed key approvals, and just the environmental impact review and final approval are left.
Yes.
And the Dadepo offshore wind power plant is expected to become the first offshore wind farm in Busan, located 3 to 5 kilometers offshore from Dadepo port. Once operational, it will produce about 300,000 megawatt hours of electricity
Yes.
annually, which is enough to power approximately 100,000 households. And the district expects that it will be possible to achieve the 100% renewable energy goal and attract promising companies, including IT firms and data centers.
Yes. So the last time we heard about this project, there were some concerns that Sahogu district was, trying to address.
The main challenge remains gaining support from fishermen and residents. So without their approval, the remaining permits could be impacted. The district is addressing concerns about noise, electromagnetic radiation, and aesthetic impacts with scientific data and studies to persuade them. However, a new law called the Offshore Wind Power Act, 해상풍력법, was passed to boost offshore wind energy by simplifying the approval process and increasing local government support. Even though the Dadepo project has already passed many approval stages, this law won't directly benefit. The project won't directly benefit from this law. So the industry experts believe that the public perception may shift more positively toward wind energy.
I see. Well, we just hope that this project is going to benefit, both the district and its residents. So we will definitely keep tabs on this one. All right, next up, Busan has adjusted its fall festival schedule ahead of time. This is all about avoiding overlapping with a national sports festival plus the Chuseok holiday, correct?
Yes. Catherine, did you look at the calendar for October?
Not yet. Not that far ahead. I got to May and I was just okay. But I haven't. Why? What's going on?
Oh, you'll be excited because
There's a lot going on, right?
Yeah, many red days.
Yes.
So speaking of holidays,
Yes.
the 106th National Sports Festival will take place in Busan from October 17th to 23rd. And the Chuseok holiday will last for about a week, starting from October 3rd, which is 개천절, National Foundation Day.
Okay.
And both are in October. So when local festivals clash with big national events or long holidays, it can cause problems like traffic jams, lack of hotel rooms, and difficulties for tourists.
Right.
So changing the dates is necessary to avoid these issues.
Right. So let's talk about some of the changes then.
For example, the Busan International Film Festival, which usually takes place in October, will be held earlier this year from September 17th to 26th. And similarly, the Busan International Rock Festival, which typically happens in early October,
Yes.
will take place from September 26th to 28th. And the Yeongdo Bridge Festival, which usually happens in mid-October, has been postponed to early November.
I see.
And local governments think that more festivals in October might also change their dates soon because, again, if too many big events happen in the same month, it can be hard for smaller festivals to get attention.
That's true. And we want all the events to have their time in the spotlight. So we'll give you updates as some of the dates change without further problems, I hope. All right, next up, let's talk about Yeongdo-gu District offering a tour bus that takes you to all the major attractions. It's kind of like in a one-stop kind of thing. Yes.
The tour bus will make it easier for visitors to check out top attractions like Taejongdae and Hinyeol Culture Village in
Yes.
one day. The initiative plans to boost tourism in areas with limited public transportation options because Yeongdo is the only district among Busan's 16 districts that is entirely made up of islands. So it doesn't have a city subway. And this year, the route is even better with additional stops at the National Maritime Museum and a camping site. The 저령마 Yeongdo Story Tour Bus started running on March 15th.
Yes.
And it will run until December. And 25 passengers can fit in. A guide is on board to share interesting facts and lesser-known stories.
Oh, so what does this mean? The 절영마, what does this exactly mean?
So ma in Chinese character means a horse. So it comes from an old legend about a super fast horse from the Three Kingdoms era, said to be so fast that even its shadow could not keep up. So it symbolizes Yeongdo's historic connection to fine horse breeding.
Okay.
And for reservations for the tour bus can be made through the Yeongdo-gu District Office or Busan Travel Task Force website. To encourage longer stays, Yeongdo-gu District is also offering incentives. For tour bus users who stay at a Yeongdo accommodation or obtain a digital tourism resident card will receive a 10,000 won refund. And additionally, special themed bus tours will be available from May to September.
Ah, yes. So hopefully this will kind of boost the number of tourists to this local area. Lastly, let's talk about the city of Busan hosting the 7 Beach Earthing Challenge. So this is going to be on the 22nd, and we're talking about in the area around Imlang Beach. Is that correct?
Yes, the 7 Beach Earthing Challenge is a walking event that covers 7 major beaches in Busan.
Yes.
해운대, 광안리, 다대포, 송정, 송도, 일광, and 임랑 Beach.
So let's get into this whole earthing. So some of you may have heard about this before, but the details of what this is.
So it's a way to connect with our Mother Nature by being in direct contact with the soils. Such as walking barefoot. Touching the ground with the soles of the feet allows the body to absorb free electrons, so which are supposed to help combat free radicals, meaning they are like unstable molecules that can damage cells in the body. So with its benefits like healing effects is really widely recognized through SNS, and it is very therapeutic, so it has become so popular since last year.
Oh, indeed. So hopefully we'll see more people doing this. Do you have more details?
Yes, and the Imlang edition of the Earthing Challenge will be different from previous events. Participants can walk a 2-kilometer round trip course freely at their own pace at a time that suits them. And registration is open until March 20th through the 7 Beach Earthing Challenge website, and participation is free.
Okay. Well, all the details are available at earthing shop.busan.com if you want to check it out. Thanks for all the updates. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Catherine.
All right, now it's time for your traffic and weather right now. It's time for your traffic report on this Monday morning. First up, we have a couple of accidents to report on. First up on the Namhae Expressway branch to 제2 지선 going towards Kimhae, there has been an accident on Seobusan Nakdong Bridge. Also, another accident on Pyeongnam coming toward the city right on Mangmi Ramp. There is heavy traffic on Manduk-daeru from Minam to Manduk intersection. Also some congestion detected on Dongso Overpass from Pyeongnaekor Ramp to the old Kaegum Tollgate. Currently, it is cold. 0 degree here in Busan under clear skies. The real field temperature feels like it is -2 right now. The daytime high will go up to 10 degrees Celsius. There is a special strong winds report in effect over Busan, and you might have heard the winds last night as you were sleeping. Looking at the weather nationwide, a cold snap across the country, with many regions in the capital and central regions seeing sub-zero temperatures. Gangwon and northern Gyeonggi, they are under a heavy snow alert. So this was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest, which means Haley's here. Good morning.
Good morning.
How was your weekend?
It was wild.
Wild?
Personal TMI. I had, and you gotta listen through the story. I had webak. I did not sleep at home. Ooh, because yeah, right. Because
with Haley?
with my kemoim, with my girlfriends, and
재미없다.
I know. And then we were putting my friend's child to sleep because she was so overexcited because there were aunties over.
Yeah,
so we're like, all right, let's all go and pretend to fall asleep. Yeah.
And did you fall asleep?
Oh, yeah.
Who?
Me.
Oh, you? Okay.
Apparently, I was snoring, and I was the driver. So we all.
Okay, TMI.
So yeah, we
Yes.
all speaking of which
Yes.
yeah, so we all had to spend the night because I was conked out. And then we all got up at 2, and then we ate some yogurt ice cream and just talked through the night. But in terms of other TMI and
Yes.
other random facts, I don't know how of course there are exceptions, but apparently people will not listen to new music after the age of 35. So you'll just kind of go back to the music that you used to listen to, but you
as
won't
you get
really. I
older.
mean, of course, you'll hear new music, but by choice, your playlist will consist of old music. Right.
Oldies but goodies.
Oldies but goodies. Yeah. And then also, scientific random fact, tomatoes, fruits or vegetables? Right?
Fruit.
Well, okay, that makes you European. They're fruits, legally classified as fruits in Europe, but they're legally classified as vegetables in the U.S.
Wait, what did I say?
You said fruit.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Right.
So early in the morning.
Yeah, it's so early. But
Yes,
yeah. By
yes.
the way, in Korea, it's both. It's kwateru. It's a fruit vegetable.
Yes,
Vegetable
yes.
fruit. But yeah. So there we go.
Well, I want to get to William. Oh my gosh.
Can we
He says,
photos?
this is likely too much TMI. Oh, but I like. But several decades ago, I was a professional artist figure model. Oh. How do we say that in Korean? 그 옷 벗고 모델하는 걸 뭐라고 하죠?
Was he?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did
I'm
I
sorry.
Did I try to imagine?
I don't think he said he was a.
But
he was
usually when they
nude
say
model.
figure model, it's nude.
Yeah, I don't.
How nude? And a professional Middle Eastern belly dancer in the San Francisco Bay Area.
I did not realize
I
there were
want
male
photos.
belly dancers.
I
but
want
now
receipts.
We know. Now we know.
I want photos.
Yeah, we want receipts.
Well, I don't know about the figure model days. That might be a little much.
Within the legal realm, we want receipts.
Yes, 7:24 in the morning, maybe a little early for that. We have another message from Souvenir who says, 랜덤 상식. Love this. 자동차에는 좌우로 차선을 바꿀 때 신호를 주는 장치가 있다. 이거 모르는 사람 진짜 많아요.
Fact. 좌우로. So there are these devices in your car that can signal whether you're going to change
Use your
lanes.
blinker is what they're saying. 제발 쓰세요. 피디님 이제
I don't think she knows there are these devices. Do you not
Apparently
know
not.
that there are those devices?
몰랐네요. 네. And then we have Umberto who says, question of the day. Medical terminology in Spanish like toxoplasmosis and otorhinolaryngology. My family was always going to the doctor when I was little, and as a sponge, I was capturing everything.
Ooh.
Right. So otorhinolaryngology. So ear,
Something
nose,
about,
throat.
right.
Toxoplasmosis.
So toxins in your plasma?
In your blood.
Blood?
Yeah, is what I'm guessing.
I'm thinking
Okay.
so. All right.
So you were trying to get me with those long words. How'd I do,
But she
Umberto?
got it. She didn't look, I can vouch.
I
she
didn't
look
look
it
them
up.
Right. Yes. All right. Now, see, he just texted back.
Oh.
Yes, it was full Monty, meaning he was fully. That's what a figure model means. You don't get to clothe yourself.
You don't get to.
No, you get to strip off.
You gotta not unclothe yourself.
Nice. Okay, we don't need
Interesting.
photos. We'll just
All right.
imagine. Thank you, William. Let's get into our first bit of serious news.
Oh yeah, I'm here for that.
Yes, that's why we're here. We could just do an hour of this, but the U.S. put South Korea on its sensitive category or country list category. But Seoul was not aware of this, so what is going on?
First of all, what is this list
Yes.
that everyone's been clamoring about? So the U.S. Department of Energy, or the DOE, it said on Friday that South Korea had been added, and it is on the lowest category of its sensitive and other designated countries list, SCL, in early January. So this is called 민감국가 리스트.
Okay, so what exactly is this? I mean, you kind of explained it, but
Right.
we need
Doesn't
details.
sound good, but
Right.
how not good is it? So the SCL, it refers to a group of countries to which particular consideration is given for policy reasons, and this is given during their annual or internal review and approval process, and it's for access by foreign nationals. So countries may appear on this list for a variety of reasons: national security, nuclear non-proliferation, or terrorism support reasons.
Yes.
The list at the very top includes North Korea, China, and Russia. South Korea is on the very bottom, but this was put on our country was put on this list during the previous Biden administration, but it's unclear why. So the DOE spokesperson pointed out that the inclusion doesn't really indicate an adversarial relationship with the United States, just that it's sensitive.
However, I don't know, just the wording of it and the timing.
Right.
They're both of particular concern, I think.
Right, and timing not only on when we were put on that list, but when we found out about
Right.
it. So as a country, South Korea, it was initially reported earlier this last week. However, the perception back then was that it was maybe just a Trump administration policy, because the Trump administration is kind of reviewing really everything when it comes
All
to
relationships.
diplomacy, all
Yes.
relationships, friends or foe, under the kind of all around America First policy.
Sure.
However, it wasn't. The DOE confirmed that the decision came during the Biden administration when we were supposed to be on solid footing.
Okay.
So it raises questions as to whether South Korea's domestic political situation, i.e. the impeachment and the martial law, played a part.
Yes.
Because this designation came after the martial law declaration and while the impeachment motion was going on. So President Yoon Suk-yeol also mentioned back in January of 2023 that South Korea could have nuclear weapons, or it could look into having these
see.
nuclear weapons if North Korea continues their provocation. In any case, the problem is Seoul was not aware of this decision. And this is, despite the continued statements coming from South Korea's government that the Korea-U.S. alliance is ironclad
Yes.
despite the Korean domestic situation. However, it seems there was at least a lapse in communications on this front.
Right, like how do we not know? It's a big question.
Right.
Well, let's dive into some issues concerning the state of doctors in the country. First, with the regional distribution of doctors.
Right. So right now we have a severe shortage of interns and residents, 전공의, and with the walkout, the number of residents nationwide, that has come to 1/8 of the number from before the walkout.
Yes.
8분의 1. But then we look at the regional distribution. 2/3 of these doctors, the very scant number of doctors who remain, are in the capital area.
Sure.
So this is according to the Health and Welfare Ministry data from lawmaker Kim Sun-min of the new Rebuilding Korea Party. Of the 1,672 interns and residents, 1,097 of them, or 65%, in capital area training hospitals. And this is double the figure from the rest of the country.
Right.
And of course, all of this is despite the government's policy to increase allocation of these non-capital area residents.
So there is one hospital in Jeju where I hear 2 doctors are in charge of nearly 200,000 people.
Right, so 2 doctors in a particular but very critical field. So let's get into the specifics of it. So at the southernmost part of the country, on Jeju Island, there's Seogwipo City. Population almost 200,000, 180,000 people. And the number of doctors at its only general hospital, 40, the Seogwipo Medical Center.
Right.
This is, again, the only general hospital in the entire city, and there are only 3 other smaller hospitals for the entire city. And according to the head of the hospital, the medical center cared for 27,000 patients per year.
Yes.
All of the city's emergency cases get sent there. It also has a cardiovascular emergency center, so basically for heart attacks that operate 24 hours, but only 2 doctors work those 24/7 shifts. So can you imagine you work for 25 hours, you're off for 24, and then you come back for 24 hours again. And there are only 3 nurses at the cardiovascular center as well. I mean, the resources have been stretched to the thinnest level. But the problem is, well, what lies ahead? Because right now we don't have doctors in training. And
Yes.
even if there are they going to want to come to the southernmost, one of the most remote parts of the country? So that's where we are.
All right. And, speaking of these potential residents, frustration is growing among the new batch of medical students and their parents.
Right. So the class of 2025 and also the class of 2024 who have yet to step foot in any of their classes.
Right.
Well, so medical students as a whole, they're still firmly set on boycotting the classes. But when we look at individual cases, reports say that the mood might be different, especially for the youngest, the newest batch.
Okay.
So medical school deans and presidents, they have actually changed their positions to cooperate with the government because the government decided to at least withdraw the quota expansion for next year. So they're kind of playing the carrot versus the stick approach. So they're
Okay.
convincing students, calling them or sending them letters one by one, saying that if you don't return within the month, you may be held back or expelled. But some students who have been interviewed by these various media outlets say they kind of want to go back, but the pressure from their upperclassmen, 선배s, have been immense.
Okay.
And there's been a list or multiple lists of students who have gone back circulating online via various online communities.
Sure.
Well, as for parents, can you imagine? Because they still pay tuition.
Oh, really?
Well, because you have to be a listed student,
that's right.
So they are paying, and if their child, kid is in a different city, they're also paying for room and board.
True.
For classes that are
Not happening.
Exactly. So frustration is growing amongst the parents as well. One parent reported, and this is via the health ministry, that their child who got into med school, very celebratory, but goes to a PC room every single morning because, well, where else are they going to go?
True.
Yeah.
All right. For our last story, the U.S. announced that it has launched powerful attacks on Houthi rebels in Yemen. So let's get into the details of this story.
Right. So kind of the hottest buzzword right now, the Houthis or Houthi. U.S. President Donald Trump said that the U.S. has launched a decisive and powerful wave of airstrikes on Houthi rebels in Yemen, and the airstrike will continue indefinitely.
Yes.
So he said the Houthis, whom he called thugs. They attacked U.S. aircraft and shipping in the Red Sea in Honghae, and at least 9 have been killed in the attacks. And Trump said it's been more than a year ever since any American ship has been able to sail safely through the Suez Canal. And of course, the Red Sea leads to, and 4 months since a U.S. warship has been through this body of water. So the Houthi, the groups, they began targeting ships in response to Israel's invasion of Gaza, and Houthis told the Arab media that they will continue the attacks.
Yes. And so I looked up the pronunciation just to make sure, and they claim that it's Houthi because the TH is a T sound. It's like
Houthis.
Yes, boathouse, pothook, the TH. Anyhow, so who are the Houthis?
Right, so they are an Iranian-backed rebel group in Yemen, and they consider Israel as their enemy.
Right.
So they're a part of the Iran-led axis of resistance, including Hamas and Hezbollah from Lebanon. So you can kind of group them all together. But the Houthis themselves, they emerged in the 90s, and in the early 2000s, they fought rebellions against the country's longtime authoritarian president.
Sure.
And they seized power in large parts of the country during the Arab Springs of 2011.
Right.
But as to the problem now, once again, they have been... Going back to the axis of resistance, Hezbollah and Hamas, they've been working together kind of on the ground operations.
Yes.
Houthis taking things on the maritime side. They've been conducting attacks on commercial vessels that travel through the Red Sea ever since the whole war in Gaza.
Okay.
They hijacked a commercial ship on the Red Sea just a month after the October 6th attacks, and we have that happening all the way through now. So the U.S., along with its allies, they've been launching several airstrikes on the Houthi targets in Yemen, and this is another bit of instability in the Middle East.
Which we definitely don't need. But thank you for reporting on all the news. And of course, we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
Thank you.
And back to you, the listeners out there. And I have a correction. Toxoplasmosis, Umberto says. We got it wrong. So I got it wrong. It's actually an infection with a parasite called Toxoplasma gondii. And you get it from eating undercooked meat, or I knew it sounded familiar. It is when you get into contact with cat feces. So I was like, kind of rang a bell, and I was kind of like, that's where I heard it from. So anyhow, I stand corrected. I wanted to give you correct information. And now in terms of some of your messages, I will read just one for now. And it's from Leslie. Leslie says this. I got to find it. I knew I had her in arsenic. And the gases that wallpaper emitted back in the day caused a lot of death and illness. Yes, because back in the day, arsenic, some people actually thought it was good for you. Like they would give it out but it's not. It's obviously very poisonous. And then if you have had wallpaper back in the day, yes, not good for you. And that's why even with modern homes nowadays, especially in Korea, there's a whole process of you're supposed to kind of air out the apartment because there are so many toxins that come in with building a new apartment with a wallpaper or maybe all the new stuff that goes into your home. It's definitely a good thing to vent out the place for quite a while. We're going to get to Cat's Pick for today. For today's Cat's Pick, it's not a good one. I wish I could give you a bright, airy story on a Monday, but apparently there is a 32-year-old man who set his own home on fire on purpose. But he had a very good reason. Here's a clip from CBS News First.
Firefighters in Connecticut responded to a house on fire.
What they found was a house of horrors.
This Waterbury, Connecticut home turned into a prison for a 32-year-old man who says he was held captive for 20 years. Chief Fernando Spagnolo has spent 3 decades in law enforcement.
This is the most horrific act of inhumanity that I've ever witnessed as a police officer. And frankly, in this position, travel a lot around the country, talk to my peers at different conferences and summits, and I've just never really heard anything as terrible as this story.
Police arrested the man's stepmother on Wednesday. 56-year-old Kimberly Sullivan was charged with assault, kidnapping, and unlawful imprisonment. She's denied any wrongdoing. The victim says he lit the house on fire to escape using hand sanitizer, paper, and a lighter.
We believe that he may have walked through the fire to get out of the room that he was in, but he stands at 5'9" and he weighs 68 pounds.
Wow.
It's amazing that he's alive.
The warrant for the stepmother's arrest states the alleged victim says he was locked in a second-floor room that measured 8 by 9 feet. He was only let out for 15 minutes to 2 hours a day to do house chores.
She genuinely appeared shocked when I told her about these allegations.
Ioannis Kaloidis is Sullivan's attorney.
She was not his primary caretaker as he was growing up.
She wasn't?
No.
Who was?
His father was.
His father died January of 2024. That still leaves a gap of time before the victim was found by police.
And during that time, my client is adamant that there was no locks used on those doors. There was no restraint imposed on him.
This young man was 11 when this allegedly started. Did the authorities ever stop by the house in any way?
We're learning that authorities actually did stop by at least twice in 2005, but they didn't find any signs of neglect. They said the house was in good living condition. They were just as shocked as anyone when they came across this scene back in February.
This story just gave me the creeps and I was just like, okay. 자, 이 분이 남자분이 32살이고요. 키는 175cm, 몸무게가 30kg래요. Because his stepmom allegedly, maybe along with his father, kept him in a room that was 5 square meters for about 20 years. I can't even imagine, but finally he has freedom, and I certainly hope justice is served in this story. So this was your pick for Monday.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for Showbiz Buzz. We have Michael here, stressing
Good
over
morning.
a text topic. So, what say ye about, a totally random but interesting fact, or we want a little TMI? No?
I'm gonna go with the random trivia.
Okay. What is it?
I think I thought of a good one.
Okay.
그 라면 드실 때, when you're having like a spicy noodle, there's a way that you can eat ramen without having to digest the fat.
What? Really?
그러니까 라면을 먹으면 그러니까 살이 찌잖아요. 살 안 찌는 방법이 있어요. I saw this on Instagram, so that's why I know.
Well, we don't know if it's true, but let's hear it. Okay.
The secret
is
that you put in 2 or 3 spoons of vinegar.
And what happens?
Nothing happens, but the vinegar, like the component like inside, basically like obstructs the digestive system.
From absorbing
the fat.
If
you really want to have spicy noodles, like for example at night.
절대 안 되죠.
and but always put in 2 or 3 spoons of vinegar, so that so that your digestive system can put out the fat block it as much as possible.
Ooh, if this is scientific, I like.
Yeah, I mean, this is one thing I do all the time.
Oh, you do it? You practice this?
Oh,
and it
I don't know if it's just me or 그냥 느낌일 수도 있는데.
네.
It feels like I'm a lot lighter.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't know if that has anything to do with the fat actually going in.
We have a question from Souvenir who says, 맛 변화 없나요? Does it like not change?
It's only like
taste?
2 or 3 spoons, so like
that's
nothing. Like there's no changes in the taste. Like the taste the same.
What about the smell of the vinegar? It's okay?
It's all right. I mean, 2-3 spoons. It's not too big. It's not a lot.
근데 맛에 큰 그 영향이
맛에
없고.
큰 영향은 없고.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've been doing it for for I think 1 or 2 months already. But
They're like 냄새는요, 맛은요.
But if you have ramen like almost every day, I guess this cheat, it doesn't work. Because if you're gonna have like ramen every day, you get fat.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
it's
MSG
not about
too.
putting in vinegars or not.
Right, right,
it's
right,
like
right.
you gotta keep the diet. You gotta really go for it.
Well, thank you for sharing. Let's find out if it's fact or
지금
not.
뭔가 계속 이야기를
네.
진행을 시키려고 I was like, okay, I mean, yeah. So, yeah, TMI.
Yes. However, we have like 구리스탈. I love your username, like Crystal. 구리스탈.
구리스탈.
Tastes bad, I think, but I'll try it. 별로일 것 같은데.
한번 해보세요. I mean, it doesn't taste like nothing like vinegar. Like it just tastes like ramen. Yeah. It makes you feel better though, just putting in vinegar.
Psychological.
Yeah, psychological thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Well, 뒤태미나 마이클님, as some of our listeners are calling you, let's get into our first story. What do you have?
First story, I guess a lot of things have been happening in the music industry, the entertainment industry in Korea recently, and most of them are pretty bad. They're tragic stories, very sad stories. One of them is singer 휘성.
Yes.
Known for his soulful and vocal performances, was laid to rest Sunday as family, friends, and fans gathered to pay their final respects.
That's right.
He was 43 years old, and his real name was Choi Hui-sung, and he was found dead at his home in Seoul on Monday with no signs of foul play, according to police. A funeral was held at Samsung Medical Center in southern Seoul with some 130 people in attendance, including family members, Ha Dong-gyun, and other fellow artists and fans. Since his singing debut in 2002, Hui-sung rose to fame with numerous hit songs, including With Me and a remake of Craig David's Insomnia. Music critic Lee Dae-hwa said the singer played a key role in popularizing R&B music in Korea during the 2000s. Authorities are looking into the cause of his death. Initial findings from an autopsy said the cause of death is unknown. The singer's career suffered a setback in 2021 after he received a 2-year suspended sentence for abusing propofol, a powerful sedative.
That's right. So he leaves behind a lot of great works.
Yeah, his legacy is... is significant to the music industry in Korea. As I mentioned earlier, R&B music became possible in Korea thanks to Hui-sung.
One of the artists, absolutely.
Yes.
Well, of course, rest in peace. Let's move on to our next story. What is it about?
Next story. I guess this comes as like a little bit of ventilation for all of us. I guess an exciting news for the film industry.
Right.
I don't know if you know this Japanese actor Yutaka Matsushige. Yeah. So like he's not too famous by his real name.
Okay.
But he is very famous in his character name, Goro Inogashira. And this is a character name for the Japanese hit series The Solitary Gourmet. In Korean, it's 고독한 미식가. 고독한 미식가라고 하면은 모두들 아시죠?
Yes.
And he brought this, quiet sense of ecstasy to the experience of solitary meals. So he always appears eating, eating food alone.
Yes.
That's the main concept, right? And his character's journeys through Japan's hidden mom and pop eateries left a lasting impression to Korean viewers. And that's why for many Koreans, it was a sad, news that The Solitary Gourmet ended in 2023.
Okay.
But the actor, Matsushige, is coming back and has decided to revive the show's character by writing the screenplay and directing the film adaptation of the series, which is set to premiere on March 19. And he is acting in it too, of course. Yeah. So the film follows Goro on a new culinary odyssey that spans France, Japan, and Korea. This time, his quest is deeply personal. He is searching for a particular soup.
Yes.
One that an elderly man he met in Paris longs to taste one last time. The film comes at a perfect timing since this year marks Korea and Japan's 60th anniversary of the normalization of diplomatic relations, adding a layer of symbolism to its release. It was also previously screened during the 29th Busan International Film Festival last October.
Sure.
Korea is one of the major hotspots that appear in this film. And Korean actor Yoo Jae-myung is another actor featuring in the film alongside Matsushige. The actor-director expressed his pride in Yoo's performance, saying that Japanese audiences refer to Yoo's scene as the highlight of the film.
Oh.
Matsushige has been part of the Japanese entertainment industry for over 30 years as an actor. However, his involvement in the Korean entertainment industry is relatively recent, including Netflix's culinary show K-Foodie Meets J-Foodie, where he appears alongside Korean singer Song Si-kyung.
Okay.
Yeah. Matsushige also gave a tip to his future Korean audiences regarding the upcoming film, telling them to sit through the film until its ending credits. So he has something, hidden at the very end of the movie.
Okay.
So if you get the chance to watch it, make sure that you stay till the credits.
Very end? The credits. Oh, I love when there's something like right during or after the credits, like a special little clip at the very end.
I enjoy reading through the credits myself. I mean, I think that's the important part of seeing who was in it in making the movie, right?
Right. I also try to stay till the end of a movie because I feel like some people leave right when the movie itself ends, but it's kind of but what about all the people that were, put in their hard work and dedication into this project, right?
Personally, it feels like a little bit of disrespectful.
I agree. So we always say till the end.
Yeah, so very important.
Yes. All right, let's move on to our next item, which is?
Next up is Jennie.
Jennie.
Of
Blackpink?
K-pop group,
Okay.
Blackpink has set a new record for first week album sales for an album by a K-pop female soloist released this year. Her agency said Friday.
Sure.
Jennie's first studio album, Ruby, sold more than 660,000 copies in its first week after being released on March 7th.
Wow.
Citing data from Hanteo Chart, a leading local tracker of album sales. The figure marks the highest first week debut album sales for any album released by a K-pop female solo artist this year.
Yes.
In the K-pop industry, first week sales are considered an important measure for an artist's popularity and the size of his or her fandom. Ruby debuted at number 9 on the US Apple Music album chart and number 2 on the European Apple Music album chart upon its release.
Yes.
The album's lead single, Like Jennie, reached 7th place on Spotify's daily top song global chart.
Oh, okay. So that's a big coup for her.
And for the K-pop industry.
Indeed.
And, for me, it's every time there's something, great things happening about K-pop, they always, reset the record or they set a new record, right?
Right.
Almost every time. So I'm is this news? I mean...
At this point, it's strides are being made.
Yes.
Every time there's a new, a record, album.
Every time, they never cease to amaze us.
Which is good.
Which is good, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have time for one really short one.
Really short one.
Yes.
Okay. Le Seraphim, or Le Seraphim, returns with the sentimental love song Hot.
Hot.
Very simple, but straightforward title.
Yes.
The Seraphim returned Friday with its 5th EP Hot, marking a striking departure from previous concepts, which focused on a chic and urban image and powerful dance moves. The album serves as the final installment in a trilogy that began with last year's Easy and Crazy. The album features 5 tracks, Hot, Born Fire, Come Over, Ash, and So Cynical. As Le Seraphim approaches its 3rd anniversary in May, the group is gearing up for its first world tour, kicking off next month at Inspire Arena in Incheon, just west of Seoul. The tour will then take the group to Nagoya in Japan, Osaka, Kitakyushu, Saitama, Taipei, Hong Kong, and Bangkok. So, Bangkok.
Hankook, yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you for going over all the hot entertainment news. And of course, we will check in with you next week. And then, we have a message from Tommy who says, actually, vinegar helps to have, for there to be better texture and avoid blood sugar spikes. Oh. He said, I'm not sure for the diet because the noodles, there's lots of carbs, right? But he says, in terms
I think that makes more sense. Yeah. That's why, you have to you trust only 50% of what Instagram says.
Of course. We take it with a grain of salt, as they say. Well, we'll be sure to check in with you next week. So thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
All right. Let's end it with this one, Starry Night. This is by Boa featuring a Crush, as requested by Betty.
널 위해 꺼내입은 설레임은 왜 이리 밝고 달아 Always always 따스한 온기 가득한 내 주머니 손 잡아봐 잠시 일시정지된 시간 우리 둘만 존재하는 밤
Starry night 아름다운 이 밤 끝에 별빛 아래 차가운 이 겨울도 나를 녹여주는 그대의 포근한 품 안에 안겨 난 Baby 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 어느새 또 한 번 세상이 하얗게 변하는 계절 차가워진 바람 뜨거워진 외투 더욱 좁혀진 우리 사이 시린 겨울 끝에 피어난 꽃을 내밀어 뽀얗게 서려진 창문에 남겨둔 장난스러운 낙서 나만 아는 걸 Starry night 아름다운 이 밤 끝에 우리를 밝혀주는 별빛 아래 차가운 이 겨울도 나를 녹여주는 그대의
Your Bridge to the World. BEFM 부산영어방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통
yourself right at home in this ever-changing tourism paradise. So stay with us a while. Busan, your #1 tourist destination. Your home, away from home. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, 부산영어방송.
지금 방송 광고라는 부메랑을 던져보세요. 소비자를 향해 정확히 날아가는 광고. 힘차게 돌아가는 경제. 부메랑처럼 다시 기업의 이익으로 되돌아오니까요. 방송 광고, 경제에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan. I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock, and this is news highlights. PPP will accept Constitutional Court's ruling on Yoon's impeachment. The ruling People Power Party, or PPP's floor leader, Kwon Sung-dong, said that he will accept whatever decision the Constitutional Court makes on President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment trial. Democratic Party, or DP leader, or floor leader, Park Chan-dae, asked whether the PPP will agree to the appointment of the last Constitutional Court justice and discipline lawmakers who called for the dismantling of the court, calling him to show his sincerity through action. In the meantime, massive rallies for and against the president's impeachment took place across the country over the weekend, including in Seoul and Busan, as the country awaits the court's impending decision. MBK chief vows to use personal assets for Home Plus suppliers. Head of the private equity firm MBK Partners, Kim Byung-ju, said he will use his personal assets to support suppliers of Home Plus who have been affected by the court-led rehabilitation process. MBK has come under criticism for placing Home Plus into rehabilitation without making self-recovery efforts, though its massive acquisition debt has led to the retailer's financial difficulties. This follows an apology from the discount chain store's president, Cho Ju-yeon, on Friday to partners and investors, and her pledge that the company will do its best to normalize the company as soon as possible. Home Plus said it will submit its self-rescue plans to the court by June 3rd. Number of economically inactive young people rises further in 2025. The number of young South Koreans who were jobless or opted to remain economically inactive surpassed 1.2 million last month amid tough job market conditions. A total of 1.21 million individuals aged 15 to 29 either remain unemployed or economically inactive to prepare for a job or without specific reasons as of end of February, according to the data compiled by Statistics Korea. Experts point to weak economic growth and domestic demand, as well as companies' preference for experienced workers as reasons behind the job market difficulties for the younger age brackets. South Korea not on U.S. Defense Secretary's trip to Indo-Pacific. South Korea is not included in U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's upcoming trip to the Indo-Pacific, as the country is in a period of political uncertainty over the fallout from President Yoon Suk-yeol's martial law declaration last year. Hegseth is said to be planning to visit Hawaii, Guam, and Japan in what would be a high-profile trip to underscore the Trump administration's commitment to the Indo-Pacific in the face of China's growing assertiveness and North Korea's recalcitrance. His predecessor, Lloyd Austin, canceled the Korea portion of his Asia trip last December, and concerns linger over the potential repercussions of the political situation in Seoul on security cooperation between the allies. Tornadoes and dust storms leave at least 34 dead in U.S. At least 34 people have died in the U.S. after violent tornadoes tore through several southeastern states, causing massive dust storms. Local reports show homes flattened and cars flipped by the tornado and massive car crashes caused by dust storms. At least 250,000 properties are without power. A state of emergency has been declared in several states, including Arkansas, Georgia, and Oklahoma, where more than 100 wildfires were raging. And this was News Highlights. It's time for wa글와글, which means my sweater sister Haley's here.
Oh, I was like, what am I? What am I? Yes, we are.
Yes. So I was looking up other random facts because I couldn't remember or come up with one on my own. So I cheated. I looked on the internet. Our best friend. Ketchup. 우리 다 ketchup 아시죠? Ketchup.
The tomato sauce
was used as medicine in the 1800s.
Oh.
Ketchup was actually marketed as a cure-all for various ailments, including indigestion, 소화 안 될 때.
소화불량?
Ketchup for that, and also jaundice, 황달.
Oh.
I don't know if that helps.
I know tomatoes are really good for you. What is it?
But
that's an apple a day, but a tomato.
Tomatoes are good for you,
they're
right?
They're great for you, but I'm assuming ketchup back then had maybe less sugar and additives than they do now.
Because it's very sugary now. And one more. We use the phrase a lot, sweaty or sweating like a pig. But the thing is, pigs actually they don't have many sweat glands. They don't sweat.
Speaking of, can I bounce off of your fun fact to mine? So East Asians, Northeastern Asians, so namely Koreans, we have sweat glands, but genetically our sweat doesn't smell.
Not all, but
all, but genetically most of us. So that's why the deodorant market in Korea
is almost non-existent.
Basically there's really nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
So interesting,
So that's why when in PE classes in middle school in the States, it was kind of like oh, great. Yeah, we have an expert
for Johns
who's
Hopkins
laughing.
is coming up. He's laughing at us right now.
Right. But then we were taught in middle school, in Marcus middle school, shout out. We're like, the PE teacher was like, you guys have to put on deodorant. That's just like, that's just sense of like common sense in life. And I was like, why wasn't I ever taught this common sense until I was 14, 15?
Also, it's like an American cultural thing because I was taught, put on the deodorant like in gym class. And so I religiously put it on.
I did, but then I didn't smell any difference. So I was like,
but I like
why
the baby powder smell.
Yeah. So I was just really curious. I was like, why do you have to put on deodorant when it doesn't smell different?
Our producer's giving us a signal.
All right.
We'll
go.
All right. And first, this is a story that's been gaining a lot of traction online. And the thing is, we've been waiting to deliver it. We've known about it, but we wanted to wait at least until there were like both sides out and
at
some facts.
least some official statements because this has been raging wildly over social media. Yes, we are talking about the whole thing between actor Kim Soo-yeon and late actress Kim Se-ron.
That's right.
So accusations were first raised via this YouTube channel 가로 세로 연구소, which cited a family member of the deceased actress that she and Kim Soo-yeon dated for 6 years. Starting in 2015, the big problem is back then, Kim Se-ron would have been 15 years old and Kim Soo-yeon would have been 27. So there's a legal issue we'll get to later.
Okay.
The channel initially published photos of him kissing her on the cheek. The family also disclosed a letter that he apparently sent to her while he was in the military, dated June 9th, 2018. she would have been in third year of high school.
A senior
in high school. And then there were other photos, other more rather revealing photos released as well. There's another set of accusations. Now this time financial, going back to her DUI drunk driving charge, that Kim Soo-hyun, the actor, and his agency Gold Medalist, which is owned by his cousin or at least a family member, lent her 700 million won for her DUI-related fines and compensations. But then Gold Medalist, they were also her agency at one point.
Right.
The channel also said that Gold Medalist and Kim Soo-hyun sent the late actress a certified letter, 내용 증명서, demanding payment for this loan.
Right.
And she texted him begging for time, and a screenshot of that text has been released as well. And the final tragedy of it all, the day she committed suicide, happens to be on his birthday.
That's right. And so these are some serious accusations, whether it's like legal, illegal, we're talking about like ethically or not. So how did Kim Soo-hyun and his agency respond? Because they did finally respond, right?
They did. So Kim Soo-hyun's agency admitted that the two dated for 1 year, but very much emphasized that this was after she became of age, after she turned an adult, specifically from summer of 2019 to the fall of 2020. But it does go against what he initially said while Kim Se-ron was alive. There was a weird case when she very momentarily uploaded a selfie of them together, like cheek to cheek on her social media, and quickly took it down. Back then, he said they had no personal relationship outside of a professional one. And then in a recent statement, Gold Medalist also claimed that all photos disclosed by the YouTube channel were taken after she became an adult. So they're really trying to hone in on that point. The agency said all the monetary issues between the two, allegedly between the two, were not true, that Kim Soo-hyun never personally lent her money, and that as her agency, they lent her money for financial compensation.
Okay.
So that's that. And then his agency later reached out to Kim Se-ron's mother, saying that this public airing of grievances is not appropriate for anyone, and asked her to contact their offices anytime. Her mother, though, through this YouTube channel, again called on Kim Soo-hyun to admit that he dated Kim Se-ron from when she was a minor, also apologized for denying that they never had a personal relationship, and for the agency to admit that Kim Se-ron contributed to the company as one of its founding members. And actually, the family will hold a press conference later today. It's been reported.
I see. Well, the point of controversy, at least one of the biggest points of this controversy, is whether the two dated when she was very much a minor.
Right. And we have comments on our YouTube channel. It could be legal or illegal depending on the nature of that relationship. So this is, number one, serious accusation, both ethically, morally, and legally.
Right.
And several companies that have hired Kim Soo-hyun, who's a very much a popular actor, they have severed ties or at least taken down promos featuring him.
Yes.
So legally speaking, under South Korean law, just the fact that an adult and a minor under 16 dated, not a crime. But if there were sexual relations, if there were intimate relations, that would be statutory rape.
Right.
미성년자 의제 강간 혐의, subject to at least 3 years in prison. So there's a minimum sentencing on this.
Okay.
However, now the timing, because this law was revised in 2020, so it would not apply retroactively because Kim Se-ron was already an adult in 2020. So there's that case. By the way, but going back to a larger scope of a relationship between an adult and a minor, experts say that even an act like patting a minor on the head while you guys are dating would be considered sexual harassment. So something as innocuous as unassuming as that.
Okay.
This law, by the way, legal change came about as a result of the Nth Room scandal. This need to protect minors under an absolute protection became necessary, and the Constitutional Court agreed with that as they basically rejected a case lodged by a group saying that this is too severe of a protection. But when it comes to minors, is there really ever too much protection? Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to leave that story for now. And I know there are several comments, but I'm not going to read the comments because we just want to leave it as, what we know by fact.
Right.
So I'm not going to, I see your comments, waivers.
Feel free to, talk about your thoughts on our comment board, but right. So this is what we're covering.
All right. So next up is another high-profile individual who is under fire.
We've covered this story recently, but there are now updates. So restaurateur and CEO of The Born Korea, Baek Jong-won, has been facing a series of controversies. Just to quickly recap what we've covered.
Yes.
The issue with his meal kit that was touted as using domestic produce to help local farmers, using chicken imported from Brazil.
Yes.
The meat content in his canned ham and also the tangerine content in his local Jeju ale.
Right.
But now here are the updates, new revelations. Things are getting serious because the company, The Born Korea, it's been booked for violation of the law on labeling the countries of origin. 원산지 표시 위반법. So according to the National Agriculture Products Quality Management Service, its Seoul office found that the country of origin labels on The Born Korea's soy sauce, soybean paste, and agricultural processed products were false. So to be specific, on the containers themselves, they had the correct country of origin.
Right.
But on the online sales page, it marked the wrong country. Specifically, it was marked as being from Korea when they're not.
Okay.
So a company that falsely labels its origin label can face under 7 years in prison or under 100 million won in fines. So upon this, Baek Jong-won issued an apology on the company's website, saying that he feels a sense of deep responsibility for the various issues surrounding his firm.
Sure.
He also said that he repents for the unacceptable mistakes in the production and distribution process and for not carefully overseeing these products as the CEO.
So that's an update, the latest on this story. Well, hopefully we can end on a lighter issue. One research shows that the colloquial dad bod, or I don't know, 아재몸, 아빠몸, may be like a real thing.
Right. So I guess word of the day, phrase of the day, dad bod, B-O-D. So it's kind of a joke, a 신조어 online that talks about maybe, not the very six-packy.
No. That's like a one pack.
One pack that fathers have or old middle-aged men have, but maybe husband bod to be more specific. So I want to ask a question to our waivers.
Yes.
Do you think has being married affected your size? So basically, did you gain weight or even maybe lose weight after getting married?
That's a good question.
I mean, but then I do fully personally acknowledge, unmarried, single, my weight fluctuates on camera all the time.
Right.
But yeah, 결혼하고 몸무게 변화가 있으셨나요? Because marriage, apparently, one research says, triples the risk of obesity for men. Triples.
Ooh.
Of course, let's lay the facts. Obesity, weight gain is such a complicated issue.
Right.
Diet, activity, genetics, environmental factors, and so on. However, I'm citing a research from the National Institute of Cardiology in Poland. They may have identified marriage as an extra obesity risk for men.
I wonder why.
I don't know. So researchers, they examined the medical and general health data for over 2,400 people, average age of 50. So conventionally, they were likely have been married for a while. And this was presented in this year's European Congress on Obesity in Spain, found that married men 3.2 times more likely to be obese than unmarried men. And then there's actually a lot of research on this. This one from China from last year, the male body mass index, it increased for the first 5 years after marriage. So are you guys just getting fed really well? What's happening? Yes, owing to higher calorie intake and less exercise.
Yes.
And evidence keeps mounting. Earlier study in the UK, University of Bath, found that on average, married men were 1.4 kilograms heavier than unmarried men.
Really? That's it?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, we have some comments saying from Edom, 마음 편해지고 외적으로 잘 보일 필요가 없어서 이건 좀 그런지 한 20kg 찌던데요. 전 그대로이지만 조금 네,
Good for you.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Umberto, I am blaming my wife for making amazing food and now I have a one pack. Just a single frame. 그러니까 six pack is usually like, 볶은 chocolate이라고 하잖아요. The one pack meaning 근육머슬 안 보인다 그 말이에요.
Just the one.
Just the one.
Husband bod.
I want to know though, what about for women?
이름님's case is kind of, the commonality.
Okay.
So marriage didn't increase obesity risks for women, but being overweight, yes. So we're not talking obesity. 비만은 아니지만 overweight. 과체중은 될 수 있다 by 39%. Although marriage increased obesity risks for men by 62%. So there's a huge difference there.
Okay.
For women, obesity tended to be more mental health and social issues, including being depressed and, and health literacy, health information, community. So yeah, there are gender differences.
Indeed. Interesting. We have lots of commenters. 고수, who is a married man, 저는 그대로. Souvenir, 저는 15 쪘습니다. So it's all over the board, and it might depend on your personal lifestyle, meaning like, whether you have
exercise,
social factors.
Diet, right.
Yes,
all
yes.
That.
Also, a message from Kim Yerim on our Kakao Talk. I'm pulling up right now. She says, my husband and I gained weight after marriage, of course. We enjoyed too much food and wine.
Ooh.
But you had fun doing it, so it's okay. 재밌게 쪘으면 thumbs up. 재밌게. 아니, 그냥 혼자서 찌면 근데 같이 좋은 음식 같이 나눠 먹고.
My motto is 비싸게 찌고 싸게 뺀다. So I gain weight through expensive means, good food, and I lose weight through cheap means, just go running, gym, all that.
Well, thank you for a very interesting segment, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you.
Have a great day.
And it's time for your updated traffic and weather. It's time for your updated traffic. There's been an accident on 가락대교 Bridge in Bongnim Underpass going toward the new port. There was an accident involving a cargo truck, but there is still a lot of congestion because of this. Another accident on Byeongno coming toward the city on Mangmi Ramp. I don't know, is it a Monday? There's another accident on Lino Samsungdae로 from Ulsukdo Bridge to Shinho Bridge, right past the Ulsukdo Bridge. Heavy congestion on Pansonglo from Allak to Kumsa intersection, and it's backed up on the Tongso overpass as well from Sasang to Hakjang. As for the weather, it has gone up a tad, 1 degree Celsius in Busan under clear skies with the wind chill factor, though it might seem actually colder. The daytime high will go up to 10 degrees Celsius, and there is a special strong wind report in effect over Busan. Across the country, a cold snap. Yes, in many regions, especially in the capital and central regions, seeing sub-zero temperatures. Gangwon and northern Gyeonggi are under a heavy snow alert. This was your traffic and weather.
W와 함께하는 특별한 밤 Everybody 모두 출석 check.
This is 출첵 by Dynamic Duo featuring Daol.
Yeah, 놀 때 잘 못 노는 사람도 캐는 사람. You know, 오늘은 신나게 놉시다. Say check, check it out. check, check it out. check it out. check. 우리의 일주일은 월화수목금금금 가득 쌓인 업무 때문에 쉴 틈틈틈 없어졌어 입술이 또 텄어 얼굴 위에 꺼진 빛 금금금 전쟁 같은 삶 때문에 거울에 비친 우린 수척해 오늘은 해가 떨어졌으니 전화기를 꺼 모두 여기를 출석 check 일자리 구하기는 저 하늘의 별별별 가족들의 기대치는 덜덜덜 오늘도 미끄러진 백조 백수들에게는 휴식마저 벌벌벌 자 잊자 오늘 밤만은 만들자 우리만의 추억이란 작품 이건 낭비가 아닌 재충전 사막 같은 삶을 위한 생수 오늘 여기로 출첵 올려라 여기로 출첵 왼쪽 사람들 출첵 오른쪽 사람들 출첵 어서 baby 어서 여기 모여 wanna make a free your mind baby wanna make a free your mind 어서 baby 어서 여기 wanna make a free your mind baby wanna make a free your mind 지구를 들어버리겠다 당돌하게 거꾸로 몰고 남을 섰던 우린데 세상의 짐을 혼자 짊어진 듯 허리를 굽히며 중력에 굴복해 이 사회가 원하는 건 그저 높은 수치의 판매 실적 오늘만큼 우린 반역자 모두 여기로 출석해
그만 걱정해 이제 결정해 오랜 시간 고민하는 것은 멍청해 때로 우리 스스로에게도 비즈니스맨 그건 내 안의 소리에 대한 disrespect Just 구인 마음에 시키는 대로 내일 일은 내일 고민해야 놀아 맘대로 눈치 보면서 꿈을 내지 마요 그러다가 오늘 밤도 공치니까
오늘은 여기로 출첵
모여라 여기로
출첵 일하는 사람들 출첵
노는 사람들
출첵
어서 baby 어서 여기 모여 Wanna make a free your mind Baby wanna make a free your mind 어서 baby 어서 여기 Wanna make a free your mind Baby wanna make a free your mind Free your mind Check it out 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 So baby so 모두 모여요 baby you're so special tonight Special night So baby 걱정들은 잊어 tonight Hey 전쟁터의 군인들도 오늘은 무기를 버리고
사랑이 전쟁인 연인들도 오늘은 성질을 죽이고
회사도 노조들도 오늘은 분쟁을 멈추고
선생님 학교 학생들도 교과서를 버리고
어서 baby 어서 여기 모여 Wanna make a free your mind Baby wanna make a free your mind 어서 baby 어서 여기 Wanna make a free your mind Baby wanna make a free your mind
출첵 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 출첵
Welcome back. I was having fun perusing your messages. More actually on the topic of how you gained weight after you got married, especially from the males in this chat room. Not all guys, but some of the guys are saying like, Tommy saying true. Room controller, aka wife, tried out a lot of new foods, which I have to eat. And then Umberto saying, I told my roommate that I'm going to the gym and she said, okay, the lasagna and meatballs will be ready when you get back. Well, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's a thing like we want our family members to be well fed and just real happy in terms of feeling like you're loved. And some people, their love language is apparently through like, you know, preparing yummy food. And in return, maybe if you eat it in such a way that you're thankful, grateful, even if it doesn't taste fantastic, I think that's definitely love there as well. souvenir 제가 찐 거 다 와이프 탓. 음식을 남겨서 제가 다 먹어요. Oh, so he says basically it's his wife's fault. She leaves food and he is the one that eats all the leftovers. So that's actually a common one for moms, I hear, when you're eating the leftovers, the leftover food from your children. So maybe there's more going on, the dynamics of your personal home. In the meantime, let's get to our special interview. Measles. We've been talking about measles for quite a few weeks now, and apparently the United States is facing a serious measles outbreak, with cases reported in 12 states and now 2 confirmed deaths, including an unvaccinated child. And in Texas, particularly, a hospital recently exposed several newborns to the virus after a mother tested positive for measles, raising concerns among health officials. And meantime, here in Korea as well, we have seen measles cases too, with 16 infections reported this year. And that's as of March 6th, all linked to international travel or contact with infected individuals. So let's find out more about this we have invited to the airwaves Dr. Andrew Pekosh, professor and vice chair of the Department of Molecular Microbiology and Immunology at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. Hi, welcome back, Professor.
Thank you very much for having me again.
Yes, I have a question that is, aside from, I hear you were kind of like smiling or laughing when we were sharing some health random trivia. Which one did you kind of smile at the most?
Well, there were a couple that really hit home when you were talking about deodorants and antiperspirants. I used to drive my son's soccer team players to and from games, so I can certainly tell you that here in the U.S., there certainly is a need for young men to wear deodorant. And obviously, the weight gain after marriage, I always tell my wife I eat more when I'm happy, and so she's clearly making me happy.
Oh, that's so sweet, though. I love that. But so true for many, many couples. So thanks for sharing that personal note with our listeners. But getting into the whole measles outbreak right now in the U.S., I mean, it sounds quite serious because I haven't heard of these types of numbers in a while. And maybe also if you can explain why certain areas seem to be particularly affected by measles cases.
Yeah, when we talk about measles now, particularly in countries like the U.S. and I imagine in Korea as well, where you normally have a high vaccination rate, you usually deal with cases of measles that come from international travelers, people who perhaps weren't vaccinated. They pick up the disease in other countries where measles is still spreading, and they bring it back to their to the U.S., for example.
Yes.
In those cases, we see those every year. We're paying close attention to those, and usually those are what we call contained, right? You can isolate the person and you don't see spread of that virus to other people. But what we're seeing this year here in the U.S., particularly in Western Texas and in New Mexico, a state that borders Texas, is over nearly 300 cases of measles virus, virtually all of which have been connected to spread among people in the communities that make up those two parts of the United States. So that is something that we don't usually see here in the U.S.
Right. So what do the experts think? Is it because of a certain segment of the population who are, anti-vaxxers, who are against getting vaccines, or is it something else?
Yeah, it's important to note that virtually everyone who's come up with measles, particularly the ones who are hospitalized or who have died from measles, were not vaccinated, or we don't know what their vaccination status was. So it's clearly moving in that population among people who are not vaccinated. And we know from records, health records in those areas, that those parts of Texas and New Mexico have a relatively low vaccination rate for measles. So it all sort of makes sense. It's a part of the country where there's fewer people vaccinated with measles, and you're seeing the spread among people who aren't vaccinated. And it's also important to note that measles is probably one of the most infectious virus to people. For example, with influenza, so the measles is spread by coughing and breathing in those droplets from someone who's infected. With influenza, you usually have to be close to someone to be able to pick up the virus.
Right.
With measles, if someone coughs in a room and someone enters that room an hour and a half later, they could still end up getting measles because the virus is so infectious and it can stay in the air for such a long period of time. So I think all of this emphasizes, though, that vaccinated people aren't getting infected in these outbreaks. So we have a safe vaccine against a very infectious agent. And really one of the things that is being pushed right now is a lot of vaccines to make sure that we can stop this outbreak here in the U.S.
Right. And so, many of us probably don't even remember getting vaccinated for measles because you get it when you're so young. So when we talk about the MMR, the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine and preventing measles, of course. What are the current recommendations for the vaccination schedules? Because, maybe you get it as an infant, and are you supposed to get a booster as an adult? What's the schedule?
Well, here in the U.S. in particular, you get 2 doses of measles vaccine. You can't get it when the child is too early because the child can pick up antibodies from their mother via the mother's milk, and those antibodies make the vaccine less effective. So you have to wait till a child is over a year old before they can get the measles vaccine. And again, this brings up an important point because there are then children younger than 12 who can't get the measles vaccine, some of which have been infected in this outbreak here in Texas.
I see.
But the measles vaccine is one of the most effective vaccines that we have. 1 dose protects 93% of the people from infection. We give a second dose, not like you normally hear as a booster, but it takes that 93% and brings it up to about 97%. So if you've had 2 doses of measles vaccine, you're 97% protected for virtually the rest of your life.
And when is the second shot usually administered?
That usually comes 6 to 9 months after the first shot.
I see. Yes. So what does it mean if you are maybe you think you've been vaccinated, but you might be, I don't know, does immunity wane? Are you supposed to get another shot when you're an adult, or are we okay?
Yeah, for most people, if you know you've had the 2 vaccines, and usually your health records can tell you that relatively quickly, whether you've had the vaccines. We've had here in the U.S. some years where the vaccine hasn't been as effective. I, for example, got a 3rd dose of measles when I went to college because the dose that I got when I was younger was shown to be not as effective as other doses. But certainly the recommendation now is if you have any doubts of whether you had a measles vaccine, it's easy to pick up another dose of vaccine. It's recommended for adults. And again, very little side effects and can provide even more protection for you should you not know.
Yes, because one of our listeners was asking, so if I'm not sure, is it just better just to get another vaccine? And so you're saying yes, right?
Absolutely. Some hospitals can give you a test to see if you have these antibodies to measles.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it really doesn't hurt to get another one if you have any doubt that you were not vaccinated as a youngster.
Yes. And so I also want to address this issue, whether it's vaccine misinformation or just really bad information out there regarding any of the vaccines. How might that be affecting the populations, whether we're talking about people in Texas or other states or just all around the world? Because this can be very dangerous, no? This misinformation?
Absolutely. And, in most parts of the U.S., you're required to get a measles vaccine unless you get a specific waiver for either a personal reason, a religious reason, or a medical reason. In these parts of Texas and New Mexico, where we're seeing the measles outbreak in the U.S., there's a very high rate of people asking and getting these exemptions from vaccination. Some of it may be linked to particular religious groups in the area, but certainly a larger portion of the population there is not getting their children vaccinated. And we also know that to prevent the spread of measles, you need 95% of the people to be vaccinated. So as soon as you drop below that 95% number, there's enough individuals who are susceptible to infection that you can get this kind of spread from person to person.
I see. And also want to address this issue, the fact that, many of the recent measles cases, especially, of the handful that we've had in Korea as well, has been linked to international travel. So how does global travel contribute to the spread of measles? I mean, you obviously just explained if you cough, maybe an hour and a half later, there might still be droplets in the air where we could get infected. But what should we be aware of, take precautions against?
Yeah, there are many countries around the world, some in Central Asia, some in Africa, where there's a very low rate of measles vaccination, or I should say that the vaccination doesn't get up to that 95% level that's needed to stop measles spread. So when you travel, you can usually go to your national infectious disease or Centers for Disease Control website to see if the country you're traveling to has reported measles cases. And again, in those cases, it's also perhaps extra careful for you to get that extra dose of vaccine if you don't think you're protected.
Yes.
But again, many countries in the world never reach that 95% vaccination rate, so they do see measles cases on a regular basis because the virus can spread in those populations.
Well, thank you so much for schooling us on this very important topic as, travel is up and up, especially after the COVID pandemic, something we should all be aware about. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
This was Dr. Andrew Pekhosh, and we talked about measles, how it could potentially be a problem, not just away, some far off far away country or place. We can all be affected because there's so much traveling going on these days. And make sure that you are up to date on your vaccinations. This was your special interview. We're going to take a short song break. We have a request from Umberto from The Ground Up by Dan and Shay.
Grandma and Grandpa painted a picture of 65 years in one little house. More than a memory, more than saying I do. Kiss you good nights and I love yous. Me and you, baby, we'll walk in the footsteps and build our own family one day at a time. 10 little toes, a painted pink room. Our beautiful baby looks just like you, and we'll build this love from the ground up. Now till forever, it's all of me, all of you. Just take my hand, and I'll be the man your dad hoped that I'd be, and we'll build this love from the ground up, for worse or for better, and I will be all you need. Beside you I'll stand through the good and the bad. We'll give all that we have, and we'll build this love from the ground up. This life will go by in the blink of an eye, but I wouldn't want to spend it without you by my side. The clouds are gonna roll, the earth's gonna shake, but I'll be a shelter through the wind and the rain, and we'll build this love from the ground up. Now till forever, it's all of me, all of you. Just take my hand, and I'll be the man your dad hoped that I'd be, and we'll build this love from the ground up, for worse or for better, and I will be all you need. Beside you I'll stand through the good and the bad. We'll give all that we have, and we'll build this love from the ground up. Someday we'll wake up with thousands of pictures of 65 years in this little house. I won't trade for nothing the life that we built. I'll kiss you goodnight and say I love you still, and we'll build this love from the ground up, for worse or for better, and I will be all you need.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It's time for Bobby and Business Perspectives. If only we had a mic on our producer. I swear. People want it. She was screaming like
Don't
to
move.
Bobby. She's like,
Don't move.
don't move.
Frozen. I love this.
Yes.
Wow, good morning.
How are you?
Very, very good. A little nippy outside, but
It
it's okay.
is.
The sun is out, no rain, so I
That's
can't
good.
complain.
But still
Yes.
chilly.
This week,
Chilly,
I'm
really.
looking forward to Thursday.
Yes,
I already
I
looked at
looked
the
it up. Me
weather.
too. Weather forecast till Wednesday.
Yes.
Yes. It's going to be
So,
cold.
yeah.
Well, text topic really quick.
Yes.
So, do you have like TMI you want to share or a fun trivia fact?
Well,
We want something fun. We want to know more about your life in Chicago.
okay. All right. Growing up. All right. I'm actually. All right. School-wise, I always went to schools far away from home. Okay. So, for example, my bus ride was in grade school was 2 hours away, and my high school was like an hour and 45 minutes. Okay. So I got to know a lot of the streets around Chicago, and so whenever friends needed to go somewhere,
You knew?
Yeah, I knew. And before there was, Google Maps, they called me the mathematician.
Mathematician, not math.
Yeah, not the map. No. The mathematician. So
I
they're like, give me
like.
2 streets. I'll tell you what's on the corner. That's a little trivia I play with people from Chicago.
Wow.
So people in Chicago, if you have 2 streets, I'll tell you what's on the corner.
Ooh, nice. I like that bit of information.
Yes.
Well, let's dive into our topic. What do you have for us
All
today?
right. So Catherine, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Did you have any favorite toys or toy growing up?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I used to love the blonde doll and her friends.
Oh, yes.
The one that sounds like
my
your
name.
name in Korean.
Yes. I actually do get called that, yes.
Yeah. And then I used to play with Legos all the time. The building blocks.
Building blocks.
Yes.
Well, that leads us perfectly because we're going to spotlight the toy company Lego
And
today.
since it's news, we can say the name.
Yes.
Okay, so
let's get right into it. So how did they get its start? So it's an iconic toy manufacturer, right? Began in 1932 in Billund, Denmark.
Right.
Okay. Founded by Ole Kirk Christensen. And by trade, he was a carpenter.
It all makes sense.
Okay,
it makes
like
perfect
to
sense.
remember this.
Yes.
So 1932 is when the company was formed, but a little background on Ole. In 1916, he founded and bought a carpentry business. And his plan was to build houses in the summer and also sell furniture in the winter.
Yes.
Successful for quite a few years, right? In 1924, unfortunately, there was an accidental fire that burned down his workshop and family home. But he rebuilt, hoping to generate more profits from the business. Then, facing some economic hardship during the Great Depression, his customers were the Danish farmers, could no longer afford to pay for his services, furniture and homes, right? So he shifted gears. He changed gears. He went from crafting wooden furniture to produce wooden toys.
Ooh.
So he used his craft, but he pivoted in a new direction. So at that time, these type of toys were more affordable and also more in demand, right?
Sure.
Lower cost overall.
Yes.
He also, through this process, found a passion for building toys. And he liked encouraging children's early development by producing toys such as trucks and pull-along animals, which promoted thought and creativity.
I love the basis of this company. And I used to love playing also before the whole Legos thing also, was it Lincoln Logs?
Oh, yes.
You know, right? The building with the wood, right?
Yes. Such a simple toy, yeah.
But I mean...
everywhere,
Everywhere. I would play for hours. Yes.
Now, the name Lego itself, how did it come about? So it was coined in 1934, a couple years after he formed the company.
Sure.
And it was derived from the Danish phrase leg got, meaning...
Which meaning?
play well.
So
a lot of thought there. Yeah. Also, as the company also has a motto,
which is
only the best is good enough.
I like that.
Right? And really sets the tone and the foundation for high quality standards. Right? Now, at first, the company produced a variety of wooden toys. Then in 1947, they introduced their first plastic toys. So we always think of it, we always know them as plastic.
Yeah, the colorful plastic little things on your ground that in the middle of the night when you're walking and you step on and you curse.
Yes,
that
do.
one, right?
Like, where did that come from?
Exactly.
It's like a minefield. Now, why that new material?
Right.
So they were always into high quality products. So originally their wooden toys were made from high quality beechwood, but they started to become short in supply. So again,
beechwood
kind of pivoted. Okay. So now also the real big moment for the company came in 1949 with the automatic binding bricks. Which is the precursor to the modern Lego brick.
Ooh, okay.
Really laid the foundation for the interlocking system that we know of them today.
Right, right.
So that's a little background there.
I like the background. Now we know more about the origin of the company.
Yes. And let's talk about how they grew. So, they've grown through the decades, and really they were known as innovative and adaptable, right? 1958.
Yes.
They patented the modern Lego brick with its stud and tube design, the interlocking, right, ensures stability and a lot of endless creative possibilities.
True.
In the 60s, they completed the transition from wooden toys to plastic. Okay. Also, not only for new materials because they were in short supply, but also another devastating fire in the company destroyed their wooden toy warehouse. And really, they had to fully commit to plastic manufacturing.
Oh, because they burned everything.
Yeah, so disaster, again, to pivot to a big decision, right?
Yes.
In the 60s, they also began international expansion. So in North America, they hired Samsonite to manage the brand there, the luggage. Right? In 1966, they introduced themed sets, such as the Lego train system. In 1978, introduction of the beloved Lego minifigures.
Oh, the little figures, yes.
The hair, the hats.
Yes.
Helped expand the brand appeal.
Right.
In the 1990s and 2000s, a lot of growth, right? Licensing partnerships, franchises like Star Wars, Harry Potter, expanded into digital, video games, and their own Lego movie. Opened up Lego Land theme parks.
That's right.
Retail stores all over the world. Really boosted their global presence during these 2 decades, right?
This is when they started getting expensive.
Oh, yes, yes, for sure. And still very expensive.
Right.
Most recently, 2024, the revenue.
How much?
Over $10 billion. And which was a 13% increase from 2023.
Really?
So they still grow, right? Currently, they operate in over 130 countries with 900 retail locations and production facilities globally, and a reputation as a leader in creative play.
Right. I mean, the fact that you and I probably had a set, and then our kids also, right?
More than one, many sets.
Right.
Yes.
So what about some challenges?
They had a lot of success along the way, but the early years, financial instability, right? Effects of World War II and the shift from wood to plastic. Also, the late 90s and early 2000s, although that was a great growth for them, but they nearly faced bankruptcy. Why? Because overexpansion. Right? So there are product line proliferation. So there are Lego-themed children's clothing, competition from video games. And during that time, they lacked their focus on their core product. And so in 1998, late 90s, first financial loss for the company. By 2003, the company was losing $1 million a day.
Ooh, ouch.
Close to bankruptcy in 2004. But then they had a major restructuring. So they focused on their classic brick-based sets, streamlined their operations, and embraced digital innovations such as their digital design software and video games like Lego Star Wars.
Yes. So If we had to jump ahead and talk about your phrase of the week, because this is like, I don't want to leave this out.
Sure.
What would you say? What can we kind of learn from this?
The phrase of the week, changing gears.
Okay.
And this phrase means shifting to one's focus or approach, usually to adapt to new circumstances.
Right.
Based on what we heard today, the company has in the past changed gears and seems to continue to change gears to adapt to new circumstances and situations, whether it's in their control or not.
True.
All right. So to me, it conjures up thoughts about innovation, adaptability, flexibility, change of mindset. So now taking a page for all of us today, I want to encourage us to see if we need to change gears in our everyday lives, whether personally or professionally.
Okay.
I would also like to encourage us to try to think about if our circumstances were to change, like making a career shift, how would you need to change gears or shift your focus or approach to adapt to your new career?
Yes, yes.
So most times we react to the change that has happened to us, but I'd like for us to be proactive and see how our approach may differ to a change that is yet to come.
Well, thank you for sharing the business story of this company, plus your words at the end. And of course, we'll check in with you next week. Thank you, Bobby.
Have a great week, everyone.
Yes, yes. It's time to close up for today on this Monday. However, I do want to, of course, share this with you that we need to take precautions to prevent wildfires. It's that season still. Don't burn rice paddies or banks around fields, agricultural debris, or trash in forest areas. And please, absolutely, there's a ban on the dumping of cigarette fires on the road while driving. And remember not to carry flammable materials like lighters or burners when you enter the mountains. So we need to be vigilant to make sure we don't create any fires ourselves. And with that, I'm going to bid you goodbye. This is 낭만에 대하여 by 최백호. So have a good one. Join us tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
비 내리는 날 그야말로 옛날 식다방에 앉아 도라지 위스키 한 잔에다 짙은 색스폰 소리를 들어보렴 새빨간 립스틱에 나름대로 멋을 부린 마담에게 실없이 던지는 농담 사이로 짙은 색스폰 소리를 들어보렴 이제와 새삼 이 나이에 시련의 달콤함이야 있겠냐마는 왠지 한 곳이 비어있는 내 대하여 밤늦은 항구에서 그야말로 연락선 선창가에서 돌아올 사람은
부산의 축제